The tragedy of Endeavor.
貴様を超えようと研鑽を重ねてきた。重ねるほどに痛感する。貴様との差が遠くなっていく貴様の背中が絶望が俺を
In that moment, Endeavor goes from a sociopathic or in the least a highly immoral character to a tragic hero, from a character who elicits scorn to a character who elicits pity. Aristotle, one of the most celebrated Western philosophers, defined a tragic hero as the following. A tragic hero is someone who is virtuous although flawed, who commits knowingly or unknowingly an injury or wrong that ultimately leads to his or her misfortune. The tragic hero often has a sudden realization of the events that led to the misfortune. Some may have a problem with calling Endeavor virtuous or even a hero for that matter. For example, Stein would certainly not consider Endeavor a hero by any means, and considering Endeavor's questionable actions, it is valid criticism. However, Endeavor is viewed as the second best hero, which means he must have done great good for society to even be in that position. From what we have been shown of his interactions with the general public, he behaves like a typical hero. For example, during the Bakugo rescue mission, Endeavor assists the heroes despite his strong rivalry with All Might. And during the Hero Killer Stein arc, when asked why he is there, he responds with,
マジ
なんでここに
決まっている。ヒーローだからさ。
Furthermore, his ideals or what he strives for are at least virtuous. Endeavor's ideals can be boiled down to this statement. He wants to be the number one hero through his own merits. In that way, he is similar to Bakugo, with the difference being Bakugo wants to be number one because number one always wins.
ほら勝っちゃったどんだけピンチでも最後には絶対勝つんだよな
For Endeavor, it is not entirely clear why he wants to be the number one hero. Considering he is already wealthy, famous, and powerful, we can assume he wants to be number one for no other reason than pride. When he could not become the number one hero through his own merits, the blow to his pride causes him to corrupt and twist his original ideals. But nonetheless, he never abandons his ambitions of being a number one hero, even if it meant he had to create the next one. Endeavor exhibits the four qualities of an Aristotelian tragic hero. The first, hubris, which is excessive pride. The second is harmatia, a flaw or error in judgment. The third is prapatia, a reversal of fortune brought about because of the flaw or error in judgment. And finally, anagnorisis, the discovery or recognition that the reversal was brought about through the hero's own actions. The first Aristotelian trait of a tragic hero is hubris, something Endeavor oozes. His entire character design, from how he looks, the way he stands with his arms crossed, all the way to how he speaks, is prideful. Endeavor is built like a Greek statue. He is huge. But the most striking thing about his appearance is the fire all over his body, particularly on his face. Him keeping his quirk on all the time signals his strength. Look at how talented I am. I have such good control over my quirk. I can make the fire large enough to go around my body or small enough to cover precise parts of my face. The fire acts like a superhero's mask, always on, to make sure that you know there is no NG Todoroki anymore, but only Endeavor. Fire is a quirk that matches his personality well for two reasons. Firstly, it's bright, attracts attention, and is very hard to ignore. Secondly, fire has a duality to it, much like Endeavor. Fire can be a source of comfort in the form of light and heat, but it can also be dangerous and consume everything in its path.
But fire is alive. It breathes, it grows. Without the bender, a rock will not throw itself. But fire will spread and destroy everything in its path if one does not have the will to control it.
Endeavor may be a comfort to the many citizens for keeping society safe from villains, but to his family, he is extremely damaging. On a side note, fire is generally seen as a negative in many cultures. For example, in Abrahamic religions, fire is associated with hell. Endeavor's quirk is even named Hellfire. Even in Buddhism, which is the most popular religion in Japan, fire is the opposite of enlightenment and the root of man's suffering. By design, if we're being honest, Endeavor looks villainous. He even has the mustache you see in the cartoons when the character is about to do something evil. Anyways, the mere fact Endeavor believes that he should, or his offspring should, be the number one hero shows his excessive pride. Endeavor certainly has hubris. However, his tragic flaw is a bit more dark and advanced stage of excessive pride. The next Aristotelian trait, harmatia or fatal flaw, is Endeavor's envy of All Might, or more specifically, the position All Might occupies. For those who have excessive pride, being at the top rewards them with more pride, but those who are at the bottom feel envy. Envy is born when pride is wounded. As he stated, trying to overtake All Might drove him to despair. When he realized he could not close the cosmic gap between them, it was a direct blow to his pride. Rather than accepting the fate that he will never be the number one hero, he developed envy and devised a heinous plan of creating an offspring that would accomplish the task in his stead. If he could not be the number one hero, if he could not close the sheer gap between him and All Might, then he would take the next best thing. Have someone with half his genetic makeup become the next number one hero. Parents living through their children is a fairly common phenomena. Take, for example, the mothers who put their young daughters in beauty pageants, or a father who failed to become a doctor, pressuring his children to excel at school. Those parents, like Endeavor, put their excessive pride in their children as a way to preserve it. Envy taunted him, made him doubt himself, called into question all that he had worked for or accomplished, and ultimately pushed him into engaging in quirk marriages. He created multiple children and disciplined them through abuse in the hopes of having one strong enough to reach the holy spot. From Endeavor's perspective, however, he could see it as a sacrifice for the greater good. He could have justified it as the following: I am training a hero so strong, a hero stronger than All Might, who will be able to protect society from villains at a degree you can't imagine. Sure, there was abuse involved, but at the end of the day, society is going to overall benefit positively. Regardless, Endeavor's error in judgment is his grotesque plan of creating the number one hero because envy got the best of him. Endeavor's reversal of fortune is going to be hard to discuss considering the series has not yet concluded. We do not entirely know the extent of his downfall brought on about due to envy. The only major reversal of fortune thus far in season 3 has been that he became the number one hero. Everything he has done up until that point has been for nothing, since he became the number one hero not through his own merit but due to All Might's retirement. All of Endeavor's training, his offspring plan, all of it wasted. He invested a lot of pride in his son becoming the next number one hero, which is why even though he is himself at the top spot, he is angry.
I don't accept it. Not like this. I should have earned it myself, not by him failing.
For a prideful man such as himself, being handed the number one spot is disrespectful and is life spitting in his face. This is another parallel drawn between him and Bakugo. Bakugo not only wanted to win the tournament, but win without leaving a single doubt in the viewer's mind that he is indeed the best UA student. When Todoroki does not use his full power, he is furious because it puts into question how he won. He did not win because he was the best. Bakugo wins because Todoroki let him. Similarly, first place means nothing to Endeavor unless it comes with the peace of mind that he is actually the best hero. Achievement needs to have meaning to oneself, and for that, effort and skill need to be involved. Having been robbed the chance of him or his son getting to the number one spot through merit is Endeavor's reversal of fortune so far into the series. Endeavor's anagnosis, or the discovery that the reversal was brought about through his own actions, occurs in a flashback so beautiful we will watch it again. The flashback gives us a moment of understanding young Enji Todoroki as he watches his dreams evaporate. For the first time in the series, He is stripped of the fire on his face and is shown vulnerable. The persona of Endeavor is not present, and all we see is a broken man, or as he states, a man in despair. It reminded me of Darth Vader, another tragic hero. Darth Vader, a figure of evil who when unmasked looks sad and broken. Endeavor went through his adult life with blinders on. Get to the number one spot at all costs. And honestly, can you blame him for that mentality? Considering that in the My Hero Academia universe, every hero is introduced by their ranking. When Endeavor sees All Might in his fragile form, he realizes he just became the number one hero and the blinders violently rip off. Everything he tried to suppress or ignore floods his mind. Endeavor in that moment is in regret mode, but misdirects his anger. What is with that pitiful back translates to, I did this all because of you and this is what you end up becoming. For his ambitions, he was willing to pay any price, but when he gets a taste of victory, even though it is not exactly how he wanted to achieve it, he realizes the price he paid might not have been worth it in the end. This is the start of Endeavor's anagnorisis, and perhaps one day he will fully understand the extent of the consequences resulting from his behavior. Aristotle once said, "A man does not become a hero until he can see the root of his own downfall." Endeavor has seen the root of his downfall, and the only question now is what is to become of him. The purpose of a tragic hero is to arouse catharsis, which is fear and empathy. Endeavor's story should be a lesson in what happens when your pride runs rampant and turns into envy. Envy leads Endeavor to commit atrocious acts that ultimately seal his fate. Most tragic heroes end up dying, but My Hero Academia is not a dark show. They only kill characters metaphorically. Ida's brother does not physically die, but since his identity is so deeply rooted as a hero, and since he can no longer be a hero due to paralysis, he might as well have died. Perhaps Endeavor's fate is similar. Endeavor wanted to be the number one hero, but in the end people find out of his twisted actions and he is shunned from society and is categorized as a villain. It would be poetic justice. Or perhaps he is forgiven. After all, he has realized the mistake he made and transforms himself into a hero even Stain can respect. Nonetheless, Endeavor has to make a series of important decisions, and I look forward to his character development. Thank you for watching.